The Category 5 storm slamming into the already hard-hit Caribbean islands, packing 160-mile-per-hour winds and torrential rain, pummeling the island of Dominica overnight, destroying homes. Now the storm taking aim at Puerto Rico. The new warnings of catastrophic damage, while Hurricane Jose threatens the East Coast with strong winds, heavy rain, and flooding.
President Trump takes center stage at the UN this morning, calling for big changes in his first address to the world, putting North Korea and Iran on notice, and new developments in the Russia investigation. The new report about Trump's former campaign chairman. Could Paul Manafort be indicted?
Violent protests erupting overnight on Georgia Tech's campus. Crowds setting a police car on fire, rioting over the shooting death of a student killed by a campus officer. Now major new questions about what really happened.
And an ABC News exclusive. Apple CEO Tim Cook here live. His first interview since the big announcement.
This is iPhone 10.
What he's telling us about the revolutionary new iPhone and the new technology helping you reimagine your home and your life. Wait until you see what he's showing us right here on GMA.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And we do say good morning, America, on this Tuesday morning, and we're really looking forward to sharing that interview with Tim Cook. He's live here later.
Quite a wave there from Tim Cook. All eyes also on Hurricane Maria. It is lashing the Caribbean islands right now. Category 5. That is the island of Guadalupe. Hit overnight. It hit hard. Well, a lot more on that coming up.
And we know the hurricane already leaving disaster in its path, making landfall as a Category 5 storm in Dominica. The prime minister there rescued from the debris. He says so many homes around him have been destroyed, Michael.
Yes, they have, Robin, sadly enough. And take a look at Hurricane Maria from space. This video shows it approaching the island, and now it's heading toward Puerto Rico, where they're warning of catastrophic damage.
And of course, it is not the only storm right now. Also watching another Hurricane Jose as it moves towards the northeast. There are watches and warnings from Virginia to Maine. Lots of concerns about coastal flooding.
Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to Ginger, who's tracking both Hurricane Maria and Jose in our Extreme Weather Center. Good morning, Ginger.
Good morning to you, Robin. And you know what, Maria, the first Category 5 hurricane to make landfall in Dominica ever. So we are watching that. We're going to give you the track. But first, we want to focus in because a lot of you are waking up this morning on the East Coast and saying, what is up with Jose? Well, it's still a couple hundred miles away from the coast. The piling of water has already happened. 8 to 10 foot waves already on the central Jersey shore. Ice slip up through Connecticut in that tropical storm watch. Rhode Island up through Plymouth, Massachusetts in the warning. And then we've got to, of course, talk about beyond the piling of water in the Northeast in the next couple of days. This one, Hurricane Maria moving west-northwest at 9 miles per hour. Next up will be the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and also Puerto Rico, all in a hurricane warning. And you can see as that track takes it just northeast, on the northeast corner of Puerto Rico. And that landfall would put it close to Fajardo. But remember, the cone is important. Impacts all the way there, even in the parts of the northeastern part of Dominican Republic. Then it turns into the Atlantic, east of the Turks, east of the Bahamas, and away from Florida and hopefully the Carolinas as we go into the weekend. We've got to, of course, go to Puerto Rico, though, because that's where Rob Marciano is, and it's been 2 decades almost since they've had a landfalling hurricane. Rob, what's it looking like now?
Well, the sun is out, Ginger. I mean, you wouldn't know that there's a major hurricane, Cat 5 now, south and east of us, other than the surf picking up just a little bit. But people are going about their day, having a morning swing, a morning jog. It really wasn't until yesterday afternoon we started seeing people boarding up. There's going to be a surge that slams into that area, so starting to make some preps. But there wasn't a huge lack of urgency yesterday. But some of the people I talked to today, the anxiety level is definitely rising, certainly after they've seen what this storm has done to the Leeward Islands overnight.
Overnight, Hurricane Maria pummeling the tiny island nation of Guadalupe. Winds up to 160 miles per hour and intense rains already causing flooding. Thrashing waters in the neighboring island of Martinique, leaving boats there bobbing violently in the seas.
It's crazy. The cell towers are already down. There's no flashlights, there's no batteries. A lot of places are out of water.
The island of Dominica totally destroyed after the storm made landfall there as a Category 5. The Prime Minister writing on Facebook, so far the winds have swept away the roofs of almost every person I've spoken to or otherwise made contact with.
This is not a time for heroism.
Maria now barreling towards Puerto Rico.
People are nervous, scared?
The
definitely.
Residents bracing for landfall.
You got to be prepared for at least a week and a half.
The rationing of basic supplies like water, milk, and canned goods already beginning. But many areas simply won't be able to take a direct impact.
Just outside some of these protective walls, shanty towns exposed to the Atlantic Ocean and no match for a major hurricane.
Residents who have stuck it out through Hurricane Irma now ordered to abandon flood-prone areas, warned, if not, you will die.
All of the debris that's piled up behind me, we're worried about that becoming projectiles.
And other islands in the hurricane's path still in ruins after Irma, now preparing again for the worst.
Not a lot of debris here from Irma. We just took a glancing blow, but Maria, as you know, is going to make a direct strike, and that means that winds are going to be off the water, out of the northeast. And all of these hotels that line the beaches of San Juan are exposed to that hurricane wind. This hotel has hurricane-resistant glass, but not all of them do. The governor here admitting that the infrastructure, especially inland, is poor. There are 450 shelters open, and he's warning those who live in flood and wind-prone areas need to get to those shelters today if they haven't already. Robin?
Dominica has already felt the brunt of Maria, and I understand that we have been in contact with the Prime Minister's office there.
We have, Robin, and they relayed this harrowing story where the Prime Minister, when he talked to his citizens, when they told them about roofs being ripped off their homes, the roof off of his house has been ripped off. And now we've lost contact with him and his team, unable to reach them, and that certainly is an uneasy feeling whenever anybody falls off the grid, especially the Prime Minister of a country, Robin.
Absolutely. All right, Rob, thank you.
Boy, that is worrying. Hurricane Jose is also causing trouble, expected to bring dangerous waves, flooding, and winds to the northeast. Tropical storm watches and warnings in effect from New England to the mid-Atlantic. ABC's Lindsay Janis is on the Jersey Shore in Belmar. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, George. Jose already bringing wind, rain, rough surf, and those deadly rip currents. Just look at these waves behind me, already up to 10 feet in some spots, expected to get up to 15 feet. And that is why there is so much concern about storm surge and flooding.
This morning, the Northeast feeling the effects of Hurricane Jose. The Category 1 storm bringing flooding, rough surf, and dangerous rip currents to the East Coast. Officials now preparing for the volatile conditions to intensify, deploying heavy equipment to build up protective dunes, and many beaches banning swimming and surfing altogether. In Atlantic City, lifeguards even staying on duty just to protect walkers.
We were concerned with just people walking along the shoreline. The riptides have been really, really vicious.
Jose now threatening to wash away sand from beaches that were ravaged by Superstorm Sandy back in 2012.
You never know what kind of surprises are in store, so we're going to prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
These photos show flooding and beach erosion to the town of Belmar before and after Sandy. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers replenishing beaches after that storm. But years later, and some towns say they are in desperate need of more.
The mayor here says this beach needs reinforcing so that it can absorb these storms and prevent homes and businesses from seeing water. He also says this beach is essentially closed for the season because of Jose. It is just too dangerous out here. Guys, this area expecting wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour later on this afternoon.
All right, well, thank you, Lindsay. And that's in New Jersey, but Jose's effect could also be felt in Long Island. Residents there are on alert for rough surf, powerful winds, and coastal flooding. ABC's Adrienne Bankert is in Montauk with more. Good morning, Adrienne.
Good morning to you too, Michael. What a difference an hour makes. We're right here on the easternmost tip of Long Island in Montauk, right up on the sand dunes. We've seen these waves just crashing up. In fact, coming up very close to myself and my crew. Properties right here along the beach, concerned about that flooding and possible damage, but these waves, very dangerous with rip currents and swells expected along the East Coast, even days after Jose moves out east and that storm is gone. But again, a lot of concerns for surfers, and these waves keep moving closer and closer. Michael?
All right, thank you, Adrienne. And move away. You're too close to the water. Get away from that water. And for more on where Jose is headed, let's go back to Ginger.
And that's the thing, Michael. The tropical storm force winds, you saw Adrienne's hair blowing there, they actually extend 310 miles now, from the center. So that's more than 600 miles across. And that's why you'll see gusts to Atlantic City, 51 miles per hour. That's this afternoon. I think this will affect some of the airports, especially into New England tomorrow. So if you have a flight tomorrow, Boston, and look at Provincetown and Nantucket, both closing in for that 40 to 60 mile per hour gusting. And that's, of course, with 1 to 3 or 3 to 5 inches of rain. So it's like a nor'easter, just really focused there in the New England. All right, guys, let's head back down to you.
All right, thank you, Ginger. And for all the latest on the tropical storm warnings in the Northeast and the hurricanes in the Atlantic, download the ABC News app and sign up to get breaking news alerts to stay on top of it all. George?
Okay, Mike, we're going to move on now to President Trump and his first address to the UN General Assembly this morning. The president will lay out his vision for America's role in the world, fleshing out his America First approach with some tough talk for North Korea and Iran. Our chief White House correspondent, John Carl, here. And John, the nuclear threat from those two nations at the top of the president's agenda.
No question. And George, this Trump's first address before the United Nations is his biggest moment yet on the world stage. White House aides are calling it an enormous opportunity, addressing nearly every country on the globe, including North Korea, which George will be sitting right in the front row.
After a busy debut at the UN, President Trump is preparing to take center stage with his first address to the world. The president gave a preview of his message at his first meeting on Monday, vowing to improve and reform the United Nations.
In recent years, the United Nations has not reached its full potential because of bureaucracy and mismanagement. We must ensure that no one and no member state shoulders a disproportionate share of the burden, and that's militarily or financially.
President Trump told reporters his main message is, quote, to make the United Nations great, not again, but make the United Nations great. Administration officials say the president will use his first address to the General Assembly to call for less bureaucracy and more accountability, to insist other countries share more of the financial burden, and to call out by name Venezuela, North Korea, and Iran for their threatening behavior.
Mr. President, do you have any comments about North Korea? Are you going to take that? I don't have more pressure. This will be a great week. We look forward to it. As far as North Korea is concerned, I think that most of you know how I feel.
Today, President Trump's audience will include U.S. allies, but also in the room, Iran's President Rouhani, who will be closely listening for what Trump will say about the 2014 Iran nuclear deal.
Mr. President, do you plan to stay in the Iranian nuclear deal?
You'll see very soon. We're talking about it constantly.
On day one at the UN, Trump made little mention of North Korea, but make no mistake, it will be a major subject of his speech today. You'll remember it was just a month ago that he warned of fire and fury. Since then, North Korea has launched 3 missile tests and conducted their most powerful nuclear test to date. Officials say the president will insist that China, Russia, and George, indeed the entire world, must do more to rein in Kim Jong-un, or, of course, that military option is there.
Biggest threat we face, John Carl. Yep. Thanks very much.
We're going to bring in Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz to talk more about this. Okay, so the president's speech today, expecting tough talk when it comes to North Korea. Those are words. What about actions, Martha?
Well, as John said, Robin, he will call on the world to help, but a military option does remain on the table. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis emphasized that again on Monday, but he added something very intriguing to his comments, saying there are military options that would not put South Korea's capital, Seoul, at grave risk if the U.S. acted against North Korea. When you have Seoul with 10 million people just 35 miles from the North Korean border, and you know that Kim Jong-un would retaliate, that is one reason a military option is so ugly. But Mattis would not go into any detail about what they're thinking, but experts say it could be a cyber attack or something they believe Kim would not respond to or could not respond to militarily, Robin.
What about the recent military exercises? Do they at least send some sort of message to North Korea?
Robin, these most recent exercises are live fire exercises. There are real bombs on those warplanes. I went up last month in an F-16 fighter jet to the border of North Korea, which the U.S. patrols constantly. Those jets were not armed. So this week's exercises do send a strong message, but Kim knows what the U.S. is capable of doing, and he knows very well it is an option that no one wants to use, and he surely factors that in as well, which is why he continues with his nuclear program, Robin.
That's it. All right, Martha, thank you very much. And stay tuned later this morning. George will anchor our live coverage of the president's address, joined by Martha and John. That's at 10:30 Eastern Time.
Yeah, we'll be here all morning long. We'll move on latest now on the Russia investigation. Special Counsel Robert Mueller and his team are zeroing in on President Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, as the Senate Intelligence Committee prepares to question Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, today. Our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross, here with the details. And, Brian, it is clear that Paul Manafort in the crosshairs of the special counsel.
That's right, George. The counsel this morning appears to be closing in on its first indictment in the Russia investigation. One-time campaign chairman Paul Manafort is the target. FBI agents raided his home over the summer, and the New York Times reports this morning that prosecutors have threatened him with indictment. It was just last Friday that Manafort's own public relations person, Jason Maloney, spent 2 hours before the federal grand jury in Washington being run by prosecutors for special counsel Robert Mueller. Maloney declined to answer questions about his testimony as he left the courthouse. Handling the grand jury appearance for the special counsel is veteran prosecutor Andrew Weissman, one of 16 seasoned attorneys working for Mueller. Weissman, the former head of the Justice Department's fraud section, is known as an aggressive prosecutor, best known for taking down major mafia figures and corporate crooks. Manafort has made millions of dollars as a Washington lobbyist whose clients have included people tied to Russia, and people close to him say he's preparing for a serious and strenuous legal battle, George.
We also know that he was wiretapped. One of the big questions is going to be whether President Trump was picked up in those wiretaps. Meantime, Michael Cohen, the president's close personal lawyer, going to the Senate Intelligence Committee today.
That's right. Cohen is a guy who knows all of Trump's secrets, both business and personal. Michael Cohen was deeply involved in the negotiations to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, all at the very time candidate Trump denied doing any business in Russia.
I don't deal there. I have no businesses there. I have no loans from Russia. I have nothing to do with Russia. I don't know money. I don't have deals in Russia. I don't know Putin. I have nothing to do with Russia.
Today, Cohen will be asked if what his boss and client said was true. He has already turned over documents to Congress that show Trump signed a non-binding letter of intent with a Russian company to build the skyscraper, which would have led to a $4 million initial payment to Trump. To broker the deal, Cohen used a Russian-born middleman with a criminal record, Felix Sater, who wrote in one email to Cohen, "Buddy, our boy can become president of the USA, and we can engineer it. I will get all of Putin's team to buy in on this."
If you believe the reports about Mr. Cohen and the effort to try to create Trump Tower Moscow, to me, that's a relevant piece of information. We're going to want to follow anyone who's got ties to Russia.
Cohen will tell investigators he briefed Trump at least 3 times about the Moscow Tower deal, saying that he ultimately abandoned the project because of difficulties obtaining financing and government approval. George, Robin.
All right, fine. Let's get over to Ginger with more on Hurricane Maria.
And we're watching that hurricane. Now, next up would be St. Croix, Vieques, and, of course, Puerto Rico, right in the direct path. But, of course, a lot of the islands make their way into the hurricane force winds. That would be the red that you see there. And tropical storm force winds extend quite far beyond that. These are gusts at certain times. Wednesday afternoon, looks like San Juan could see at least a 90-plus mile-per-hour gust. Then, as it passes north and east of the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, even in one of those outer bands, could pick up 102 mile-per-hour wind gusts. So they'll extend the storm surge and, of course, the heavy rain, other impacts. Let's get to the Tuesday trivia now, brought to you by Walgreens.
Getting your flu shot at Walgreens is easier than ever. Just walk right in and pay $0 with most insurance. Plus, when you get a flu shot at Walgreens, you help provide a life-saving vaccine to a child in need through the UN Foundation. It's that easy to get your flu shot and make a difference. So swing by your local Walgreens today. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
This morning's fog, patchy, but not burning off till around 10 a.m. this morning. We'll have a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Today's high going up to 80 degrees. And then even for the evening, we'll hold at around 79 degrees. And we'll continue to track Jose as it hugs the coast, some 200 miles or so just off the coast. But what we're going to find is about 6 to 8 foot waves. There'll be some rough surf, dangerous rip currents, a definite possibility at the beaches for today. Meanwhile, the remainder of the work week still humid with highs getting into the mid-80s.
Last time we had 2 Category 5 hurricanes, landfalling or otherwise, was 2007. So it's been a decade. It's been a while.
Okay, Ginger, thanks very much. Coming up, those violent protests at Georgia Tech over the shooting death of a student. We'll tell you what that student's family is now saying.
And Apple CEO Tim Cook, there he is, live in our studio. His first interview since unveiling the new iPhone. The technology he thinks will change your life. And wait until you see what he's going to show us right here on GMA. Come on back.
3rd and 8. Williams takes a snap. He drops back. He's got a man downfield. He throws. It's intercepted by Phillips. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's got one man to beat. He's going all dog.
He's going all the what?